timing was perfect tonight. Last night, the trigger finger went a little too late. But anyway, aloha, aloha, Charles.
Hey, brother.
How you stay?
I got these cookies from the Big Island. Look at that.
Oh, ooh, ugly cookies.
Yep,
Ugly cookies.
from the
Yeah.
Big Island.
The only thing ugly about it is I don't have any.
But it's,
I don't have any.
bro, first time I tried this, unbelievable. Watch.
Stop, Charlie.
Hmm.
All right, bye, Charlie. See what happens when you do that kind of things? I just cut you off. You cannot be eating ugly cookies. I'll give you one more chance, Charlie. One more chance, okay? Oh man, you crazy. What the hell? Yes, exactly. Mel has the power. I do, but I'm not going to do that to him because we love
Yeah.
Uncle Charlie. We love Uncle Charlie, even if he's stuffing his face with ugly cookies. I
First time I
I
heard of
did.
these cookies.
I've
First
never
time.
heard of them. I've never heard
Mm.
of them, but it sounds delicious, Charlie. It sounds delicious.
And it has all kind of Rice Krispies and all kind of stuff inside.
Yeah, sounds very healthy.
Hey, I just saw Ishi Haraya in Waipahu, that icon. So all kind of snacks, chips, like whatever, on Oahu. They're
Never heard of
closing
it,
their
but
doors. Yeah, they're closing their
oh boy,
doors. All these
oh
years.
boy.
So
All right. Oh, we got a bunch of people from Waikiki. Pops is on from Seattle or Washington. What's up, Dad? Love you, man. My brother Brian from the Big Island. Let's see who else we got here. Grace from Kihei, Maui.
Grace Anderson. Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. Who else? Who else? Where you from? We got Misco tonight, guys. We got Misco who's gonna come in on talking about boosters, about the new variant, about whatever. With Misco, we talk about a lot of stuff. But I've been getting a lot of questions about the booster, about mixing and matching, and um, there's been so many different messages coming from all over the place. So hopefully Misco can help us
Well, they got
sort that out. We got Wailuku and Kaumana in Kailua. All right. Kailua.
the
Puna.
5 to
Puna.
11 euro, the 5 to 11 Pfizer
Yeah. Yeah.
sending for approval to the CDC. FDA already weighed in on it.
Yep.
It's going over to the CDC, and I think Moderna is going to weigh in on theirs. Their studies show 6 to 11. Pfizer is from 5 to 11. I mean, and we can ask Misco, does 1 year make a really a difference? Because they're
Yeah.
calling it child dosages, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I think
Very
it's
interesting.
one third the dose. We got Puna, we got Mililani, we got Kailua Kona, San Clemente, California, Kailua.
Mm-hmm.
Poipu. Yeah,
Keka.
it's kind of interesting if you're I think we talked about this on the show. Man, I got something in my eye. If you're a 110-pound 11-year-old and a 60-pound 12-year-old, you might be 40 pounds heavier, but you're gonna get half a dose or a third of a dose. It's interesting.
Well, I don't think it should be age. It really
Exactly.
should be the body makeup, because that's
Exactly.
the body makeup is the container, and that's what you're gonna be basically inoculating is that container. It's not the
Yeah.
age. That's why when they made this only for 65 and over, I said I really think. I mean, sad to say, but just my personal opinion. I really think they're missing the boat. You know.
Yeah. I don't know, man. There's just a lot of questions, and then with this new Delta Plus, the sub variant of Delta, they're not, in Hawaii they're not talking about it. I don't know if you noticed this. No one's even mentioning the sub variant, and I know why, right? Because they don't want to interfere with their visitor industry opening. But I think we had this discussion last night that we better be aware, better be aware because it's already in the U.S. and we just hope it doesn't catch hold like Delta did. So
Well,
we just got to wait and see.
I think a lot of it is, if you want to be superstitious about it, I think we keep on talking about it. It's going to come knocking on our doors. So they say, no talk about them, gabachi.
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
No talk about them, gabachi ass. I say, okay.
Yeah, maybe that's the strategy. We get some funky strategies in our state, man. I mean, I will say I prefer our state's strategies or policies over some of the other states, but nonetheless, I mean, this isn't a competition between states. This is, you do what you got to do to keep your people safe. So we shall see. I'm curious to hear what Dr. Miscovich has
Hmm.
to say about that sub variant called Delta Plus.
Mm.
Well,
You ever ask yourself what makes it a plus, a minus, whatever you want to call it, right? And yet, they're probably seeing something that the average person doesn't get to see. And I really would like to know, what do they see under the microscope that makes it so or more infectious than others? Does it have, is it the average delta has 14 protein spikes and this thing has 22 protein spikes? And then I just wonder,
yeah.
what makes that thing tick? What makes it more dangerous? Is it because the more spikes, the more dangerous? I look at it as the more spikes, the more chance the bug will get to stuck in your airway someplace. That's all. You know.
Well, that was the biggest difference between the original COVID and Delta was it had more, exactly what you just said, had more stickiness.
Yeah.
It attached to your cells and it hung
Hmm.
on much better than the original Delta. I mean, the original COVID. So that is
Hmm.
why um, you had more of this little virus. Your viral load would be higher. Your virus in your nose and your throat was more,
Hmm.
and that's. I'm not sure what this new Delta Plus or Delta Two or whatever. I see all the other names coming up. It's the same thing: Delta Plus, Delta Two. Oh, we know it's a sub variant,
Yep. Yep.
um, and which means it's basically a a, 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 a child of the Delta.
Right.
So I would assume that it maintains many of the characteristics, and from what we hear, it's much more contagious and much more deadly. So we'll see. But again, you're not, we're not hearing any of that from our leaders, from our Department of Health. We're not. We just
Hmm.
it's all about the opening up to international travel, opening up to everything else. I was shocked yesterday, and I said this last night when I heard the governor say that once we reach an average of less than 100 cases a day, he's going to lift the mask mandate for indoors and restore the capacity to bars and restaurants to 100. I mean, 100% capacity. That's crazy. And you're talking. He's talking on a day. He's talking on a day uh, that traditionally the numbers are lower, which is Mondays and Tuesdays because of
Mm.
the weekend counts.
Well, let me ask you something. I just want to get in anybody's head out there. When they make these kind of predictions, that when they reach a certain point, right? So my question is, does somebody take a pencil and paper or a notepad and pen and figure out when they reach that point, that okay, now at this point everybody's safe because we've got we've got herd immunity or whatever. I just want to know how the heck they go through that process. What do they use as numbers, and what the numbers say? I mean, they just throw to figure out that when we reach 1 million booster shots, I mean 1 million shots, we're good to go. Who says that? Who makes it so? What makes that person God when they can say that? I I'm with you. I just one of those inquisitive minds want to know. And we have that person on air with us, Team USA, none other than Dr. Scott Miscovich. How you doing there, Doc?
Hey guys, and all the viewers, listeners, I'm doing well. And man, you guys, I was sitting there as you were talking when I logged on, and I'm like, that was like the number one thing that is driving me up a wall right now. That is just, I can't tell you when I heard that there's already, and Charlie, you nailed it, there's already this discussion of, oh, well, we hit this mythical number and we're going to drop the mask mandate. Let me rant a little bit,
Doc,
please.
Doc, breathe, breathe.
Breathe.
Okay, thank you.
We
Thank you.
lost you one night. We lost you, and by the way, our viewers. I mean, we had numerous comments and numerous messages asking, "What happened to Doctor Misko? What happened to Misko?" I made the inadvertent comment last night saying, "Oh, Dr. Miscovich he's back. He's what I forget what words I used, but it sounded like maybe you had come close to death and that you have
Oh, no, no,
bounced
no.
back."
I mean, I can say it. I have rare migraines, and I hardly ever have them, and I am as healthy as I've been in like forever. And I take a preventative medicine for migraines, and I just decided, I'm going to try to stop it. It's a beta blocker, and I've been on it for 15, 20 years. And man, I just went into like 3-4 days of just consecutive and just knocked out. And, it's just like, okay, back on it. Don't be stupid. So my migraines are not fun. They are not fun at all, man. It is not fun.
So
But
it's
no,
good to have you back. I don't want to trigger another migraine, so I know how. See, Charlie and I, we're very mellow. We're mild. We don't get excited.
well,
So we'll keep you healthy, Doc.
let me get you all riled up because you guys literally hit the one thing, like you started the one thing that is really concerning to me right now. And again, as you guys know, and I'm certainly not being boastful, I'm just talking my CNN time. This is the point that they've hit me on my last 2 or 3 times. So I'm doing an immense amount of connecting with people I deal with across the world because I have connections in Europe and in Asia, and I also do my research and I deal with other experts. And right now, there is a crisis going on in Europe. Right, Eastern Europe is in the middle of a 4th wave, and people are dying. They're at all-time highs. Russia is an all-time high. Romania, Czech Republic, Latvia, which I actually congratulated in my CNN piece, they took the bold move and shut down, right? They shut down because they knew that was the only way that they were going to stop the deaths. And here's the tricky part that ties in. The UK is equal to Hawaii in its vaccination rate. Yet the UK is having a 4th wave and a 4th surge. So when you go through the analytics, because I have a lot of connections in London and the United Kingdom, and that are really high qualified medical people, plus doing the research, it's crystal clear. Why? Because back in July they had a Independence Day, a Freedom Day, when they burnt their masks and threw it away, and they returned to normal. And now, as they're getting a little cooler and more rain over there, people have continued to go to the bars, they're going to the soccer matches, they're going everywhere. And look what happened. The diseases went up because indoor environments, and you couple that with the somewhat lackluster approach to getting boosters. And this is another big topic that needs to be hammered on right now, as as the governor, if he's saying drop mask mandates, he's out to lunch. Because right now we are seeing collectively broad scale waning immunity. And, so you combine the no masks indoors and decreasing immunity, people not getting boosters, the UK surging. And guess what? That could be us. We often refer in Hawaii to say, well, the UK, this is what happened. Well, there it is right now. And then you can combine it with the new variant they have. They have they call it Delta Plus. So I can remember it from my CNN time. I call it the Jackie Robinson variant because it's the AY42. And, but it's a Delta with some more changes in the spike to make it more adhesive. And so the bottom line is, no, don't drop mask mandates. It's the last thing we want to be talking about right now, especially as we're going to open up international travel and we're going to have more tourism coming in here. We should be encouraging people, hey, be safe, get your boosters, but still be smart indoors. So sorry, my rant.
But let me ask you this. You mentioned the adhesiveness. That's what makes it dangerous, right?
Right.
So taking it from a real simplistic point of view, why can't mankind develop something that lessens the adhesiveness?
Well, we did.
Just stuck.
We did. It's called the vaccine, right? Because what happens is, remember, the vaccine targets the spike protein, the ball and the spike. And as the spike sticks to your body, then it's more sticky now. And every time the virus gets more variants, it gets more sticky, and the spike doesn't break off as easy as it used to. And so how do the vaccines work? These little critters are going around, and what do? They come and they just start gobbling on the spike, and they just basically lock them and stop them. That's what the vaccine is. It creates antibodies specific to the spike.
Is there a way of developing something to the effect that it makes your body like it creates a Teflon surface?
Well, okay. So the only thing you could talk about there is one of the things that's being discussed right now and is trying to be developed is an intranasal vaccine, because we've talked about this before, and I'll give a little bit of just a graphic description. I get asked this all the time, both in media and from patients, is like, why does the vaccine have a breakthrough with it? And I've described this to you guys before, and the answer is, all right, so if my wife is sitting beside me and she's got COVID, which we're both triple vaccinated, so I hope not, but she coughs on me and those little sticky things get up in my nose, they'll start sticking, and they'll start injecting their little viral particles to start breeding in my nose mucosa, and maybe in the back of my throat, maybe in my right up in here. And I start to feel a little crummy over the next, period of time, day or two or three. But then all the antibodies come in and they start chewing it up. So it doesn't get in my lungs. It doesn't get in my brain. It doesn't get in my blood. It doesn't get into my feet and my blood clots and things like that. That's why the vaccines save our lives. But you can still get a runny nose and stuffy nose. So now take it the next step further. What if we had something that you sprayed up there that then gave you a second layer of defense? And you call it Teflon Charlie, but hey, maybe that's your new nickname, Teflon Charlie. But you put that spray up in there so it blocks the initial absorption. That is already being discussed. It's already being studied and evaluated. So you are spot on, Charlie, to say that is the perfect scenario if we could do that. Is it going to happen this week, next week? No. Is it going to be sometime in 2022? Yeah, we will have a yay or nay whether something like that's available in 2022, right?
Good. Okay.
Well, the problem is the two things I see that are. I know we're getting a lot of questions about the boosters, so I'm going to ask the doc to talk about the boosters and the mixing and the matching and all the new stuff. So bear with us, bear with us. Um, the two things that are concerning you touched on. Number one was obviously the waning of the vaccinated or the vaccination strength over time, 8 months, 9 months, whatever it is. I would assume that it's different for every individual person. Some people may do better than others, and then you combine that with the delta, the new delta, and the additional travelers that'll be coming in. The scary part is the messaging that Charlie and I keep talking about. When you hear the governor's message the other day, it sends out a message when you start talking about taking away mask mandates when we get to an average case count of less than 100. And let's say we're at 113 or 115. In my mind, if I'm not paying attention to what's going on around the world, I'm thinking, wow, we're almost there. We're 13 people, 13 cases, it must not be that important if we're talking about removing the mask mandate and opening up bars and restaurants to full capacity. You're saying that at the same time we have this Delta Plus or Delta, whatever it's called, and the waning immunity. That is a perfect storm, in my
Exactly.
opinion, for some bad things to happen. What are your thoughts?
Well, and once again, we have a example of it happening in the United Kingdom. Because remember, the United Kingdom is a place we turn to because they have a very robust, high quality healthcare system. And so we can put some comparisons there, and population not as big, but yeah, we have a comparison that we can't do that. If the governor does that, I'm going to use a term. It's called gross negligence. That's how blatant this is. We had, I will always remember the date, May 13th is the date that CDC, Dr. Walensky came out and said, oh, COVID's going down. You don't have to wear your mask. And guess what? You just said it, Mel. It's a specific group that you say, well, you potentially don't have to wear your mask. But guess what it does? It sends a broad message to the whole population that you don't have to do things. And then you get this mask or no mask, and people don't want to wear masks because then they're going to act like, oh, they're going to think I don't have my vaccine, or they're going to think that I had my booster, and no one wears a mask. And you get right back to where we were. That is wrong, wrong, wrong. Right now, to put any date, any number, or anything, especially with the unknown that we have, it's just not right. And again, I don't see anybody harping on me. I'm not being a pessimist. I'm being a realist right now. We are doing great. We're doing great as a state. Our numbers are doing great. All we're trying to say is, let's look at the globe. Let's learn from what we know and from what is happening across the globe, because guess what? This is so predictable. It is so predictable. And right now, there is a much higher possibility that we're going to have a winter surge January 15 through April than we're not. And the only way we're going to prevent it is boosters and prevention using the mitigation method that we all know work, masks and social distancing. And I want to add in there more than hand washing. Yeah, you wash your hands is fine, but ventilation, outdoors, air, fans, and things. Those things are the things during the holidays that people need to focus on. And you need to think about masks. And we need to be right now, before we start talking about getting below 100, we need to start talking about how many kids are we going to get vaccinated? How many people are going to get boosters to go on to get boosters before we start talking about some fictitious number like 100, which doesn't really mean much or point to what's going to happen in January right now.
The other thing they don't really talk about and focus on are the number of deaths. They don't talk about the number of deaths. I'd rather have 5,000 cases with no deaths then 80 cases and 4 deaths and 5 deaths. You know, the media has now said that across the country the numbers are going down. And Dr. Tim Brown on the Spotlight a couple weeks ago said, while that may be true in some locations, there are many places in the country, in the continental U.S. right now, that are experiencing some explosive growth in COVID. And Tim Brown, when he said it to the reporter, he goes, and those people are traveling to Hawaii. People
Yeah,
from those places are coming to Hawaii. So, that was his plea to reinstate the testing. But
I I
I,
saw
I
that,
think I
and
think
that
we got to
point.
be real. I think we got to be real with the people and let them know that while it may be going down in some places, it's going up in a lot of places, and we got to protect our shores from that coming here.
Yeah, no, I saw that point because I watched him, and that was a very, very well taken point, and it really, it's something we need to pay attention to. That's for sure. Um, the other thing I wanted to mention that you were saying, Mel, that was spot on. You made a comment, and your comment was people need boosters because certain people's immunity is going down, right? You said that to me.
Right.
Okay. Well, let me throw a somewhat under, because there's so many big things out there right now with vaccinations. One that went under the radar, but is just telling to me and the people who are following this and working on the front lines with this. Today, they came out with that anyone who is immunosuppressed should be getting their fourth booster right now, because the new recent study that came out that showed that, and now remember, that's 2% of the US population that qualifies as immunosuppressed, that we're already seeing that those individuals are needing another booster because their immunologic response, it's helping them, but the number was about 256 times the chance of hospitalization versus someone else that's immunologically suppressed. So it goes back to a point that I want to make as a generality right now, and it's to enforce um, uh, um, enforce something that everybody needs to understand. Please get your booster, right? Don't wait, because what I can say, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it to you guys and myself and family and friends, everybody. Hey, Mel, do you have enough antibodies right now? I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. I don't know if I have them. I got my third shot. I hope I have them, right?
We
And
don't
so,
know.
right. So we don't know, but what we're getting much more out there to show that we are getting waning. And so why take the chance that you don't know when you don't know? Get your booster, because you know what? We do know the data that's coming out on the boosters is really, really tremendous. They're safe. But at this stage, I'm going to go out, and I don't know if I've told you guys this, but I'm going to make my prediction. And my prediction is going to be that by June of 2022, the entire population will be offered a booster. It's not going to be just the frontline workers or the immunosuppressed or the elderly. It is going to be, there's going to be more than enough data that's going to come out that's going to show that the general population are going to have enough slowdown of the immune response that it's going to be time for a booster. Now, I'm not rubbing this in. I said this a year ago to you guys when we were talking about we're going to get an annual one, and guess what? The good likelihood, and it's a little early to say, and there'll be a little caveat I'll bring up, is that you'll need another one next year at this time. But by June, my guess is the entire population of the United States will be offered a booster. All right. Now, there will be caveats that are going to come up, and I know this is going to be some of the questions right now because we have now the mix and match, right? Mix and match. You can now get whatever, right? Okay, so number one, we have a winner. We have a winner. Moderna with J&J. That is right now out of the clubhouse. That is the winner. So if you've gotten 2 Modernas, get a J&J. If you've got 2 Pfizers, get a J&J on top of it. I mean, you can get a third one if you want, but there is more data on the protection offered by those combinations that's something that most of us are leaning to right now. And and so I do believe that we're going to start seeing a big push towards having, like, if I'm predicting that we're going to get another vaccine by June, my guess is by then we'll have enough data to show the efficacy of the mRNA with DNA that will be broadly lining up people to get the combination vaccine. So that's something that I'm predicting, and I think I'm not predicting it just because I have a crystal ball. It's data. It's data driven. We have enough studies. We're having enough outcomes, and the science behind it, the way the mRNA works, the DNA works, it makes sense, right? It makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah. Fourth shot, Doc. You mentioned the fourth shot.
Yep.
I know everyone is running around to try to get the third shot. The fourth shot, how long after the third shot should one immunocompromise or kupuna?
Just
And how do you get to the fourth shot?
It's just coming out. Remember, this is within the last 12 hours. But I think we're going to be talking 2 months is what my early indications are. It will be more defined, but I believe it's going to be about 2 months. And the reason I'm hedging on it a little bit is that the study looks like it was doing the analytics basing like Pfizer. And, because remember, this data it was before we had approval to mix and match. So it was just continuing the same thing. So I'm going to be real interested to see if they're going to be pushing to say, like, if you're immunocompromised and you've had 3 Pfizer, that they're going to say, go ahead and get a J&J or not. So that's the only iffiness. But to answer that question, it shouldn't be any more than 2 months, but keep your eyes peeled. There'll be more data coming out on this over the next week or so. And then they're going to machinate this through FDA but the bottom line is, if I'm seriously someone that's immunocompromised, see your doc. Like, for example, if you look in the Bay Area, because I've been spending a lot of time in the mainland and Bay Area, and I know a lot of the high quality specialists there, Stanford and UCSF, they're not even waiting for a CDC or FDA or whatever like that. They've already been giving their 4 shots to their immunocompromised, so.
Hey Doc, when we do take boosters, I know, like, it'll probably get to a point where it'll be the norm. It's like flu shots, right? Once
Right.
a year we take a flu shot. Um, are we in this rapid mode because this thing is just so tricky, and we're trying to corner it? Is that the reason why we do so many in a shorter period of time?
Okay, I don't want to be a pessimist, but if you look back in history, remember, we've been dealing with coronaviruses, have been around. They've been common cold viruses. And as you go back in history, we've had about 3 different episodes of coronaviruses that never turned into, obviously, the pandemic. But SARS and MERS had a lot of research going into them, and essentially back then, with the data and the technology we had, there was never a successful vaccine made for a coronavirus ever, right? So where we are right now is a miracle, okay? And now it's very safe. I don't want people to think, oh, this is iffy. No, the vaccines have been fabulous. Now, what we have to understand now, Charlie, is that When did we start giving vaccines? December.
We
Yeah,
Yep.
December.
December of last year. So we're into this, what, 10 months? And to be sitting here where billions of shots have already been given across the world, we've seen the death rate just plummet when you're vaccinated, and we see the efficacy of these. We see tremendous safety data on them, and we're twinking it, right? That's all we're doing, man. We're just, it's incredible where we are right now, and we're now just, we're playing with it, and I totally have confidence that there's so much energy and brain power and money and motivation, because failure is not an option. We are going to get this. We're going to get it down. But I said this. I remember saying this to you guys a year ago. It's going to take a couple years till we finally can wire it, and don't want to get into the whole side of the variant, reproducing variants versus mutations and things. But yes, we need to vaccinate the planet. We can't just rest that Hawaii's vaccinated or Oahu's vaccinated or the United Kingdom's vaccinated. We got to vaccinate the entire freaking planet so that this is just like barely ever just a little, we'll hear a little pocket that occurs in Bangladesh and say, oh yeah, remember that COVID? They had a couple people died of it last year. It's going to be a thing of the past. We're going to get through this, people. And in Hawaii, we're going to be back. We will get it, but it's still going to take a lot of pain. So this bullshit of, take your masks off in December, it sends the wrong message.
Yeah.
It sends the wrong message.
And unfortunately, that message has been received already. The people that watched that show and went to work or went to tell their friends at their workplaces, guys, we're coming out of the woods, man. That's what's happening, and it's frustrating. Dr. Jerome Kim, Director General of the International Vaccine Institute, said, until we get exactly what you just said, Doc, until we get the world vaccinated, this isn't going to go away, especially when you are a visitor destination like us here in Hawaii. And the governor and the lieutenant governor and I that's why we don't see the Department of Health up like Libby Char. I think it goes against her morals and her scruples and her values to come up and lie to the people. The politicians don't have a problem, and that's what's causing this mixed messaging, and it's frustrating and it's scary, and it's this I told you so. I remember way back I said, one of the things I love doing is all my years on the council, and I was able to say I told you so after an issue, and we brought up the debates and we had all the experts, and I used to enjoy telling my colleagues I told you so. But this is one that I don't want to have to say I told you so, because people are dying. People are dying around the world. But
So,
now I
Doc,
made a
yeah.
Oh, we'll get to this right after. I just want to plant this in your head so you can think about it. Pfizer, Moderna, and the Johnson and Johnson. Right after at some point, let's discuss options for our viewers if they had the two shots of Pfizer, the two shots of Moderna, and the Johnson and Johnson. So
Okay,
just think about that. We'll.
it's easy.
I want to put that out for everyone because we have a bazillion
Well,
questions.
I wanna ask this question really quickly of the Doc first. Doc, do you think that there seems to be so much resistance, and I don't know, for whatever reason, people don't want to jump on the bandwagon, and it's we can only give the message, right? Do you think that if this much attention wasn't paid to trying to get the word out, then maybe the numbers itself would be different? Maybe people would just do it on their own, or is it that we need even more than what we're doing now to get the message out, to create attention to it? What's your thoughts?
Are you talking about the booster, Charlie?
Not
Or
just the vaccination in total, to get us around the horn, as they say, so we can go on living a life of
um,
somewhat normalcy.
well, the good news, Charlie, is I can bring um, broad experience because my group is doing massive vaccination drives throughout the country, and I'm dealing with very broad political areas where you have red and blue and rural and immigrants and things that are way more complex than what we're dealing with here. And and so and actually the good news is I think I told you guys my group was and the count we're the one county that we're really influential in, which is the whole southern third of Arizona and Pima and some of those counties. We had Joe Biden visit, and we won an award for the top county in the United States for hitting the racial demographics of vaccinations. So what it meant is when you look at all the social determinants and the variables, income, race, rural, everywhere, it's skewed. Everybody in the urban area gets it, but you don't get it to the rural areas. You don't get the immigrants to get it because they get ignored all the time, just like we have in Hawaii. We find that, our Pacific Island Native Hawaiians are skewed in what they're getting and things like that. And they write it off and say, oh, they're just hesitant. They just want it. No, guess what? Because I helped design and did design the program to say, they're Americans, and what you need to be is persistent. You need to not just spot and set up these periodic drives where you set a drive up like somewhere in Hauula once and then you go back there 3 months. No, that doesn't show. You go back and you go back and you go back again and again and again. The second thing you do is you reach out to community leaders and you reach out to church leaders, and you basically, you don't have to give away things. That is just a cop out. You reach out to the people that are respected by the individuals in these either immigrant groups or different religious groups or different social groups, and you just build their trust. And when I speak to my staff in New Mexico or Arizona or Washington and these, and I bring them together and I say, listen, thanks for being here. You guys are the heroes, which I totally believe. And at the end of, I'll be there with them at the end of the day. We may do 30 people that didn't speak English. And I said, you people made them feel comfortable. You reached out to them. You patted them on the back. You answered their questions. And, you made them feel comfortable. But you know what's going to happen? They're going to go back and they're going to tell people, hey, it wasn't that bad. They're going to tell another family member and another friend. And guess what? Then 2 more people will come because you treated them as a human, you treated them with dignity, and you treated them with respect, and you told them you'll be back. That's the only way to do it. That's how you do it. And we're not doing that across the country, and I can vouch for it because I've been talking about it, lecturing, and looking at some of these areas which are really disturbing. And again, in our state, look at the superstar that you guys have got to know who's been on there, Dr. Akiona. She is single-handedly reaching to the entire challenged area of the lower third of the Big Island where we have so many people at risk. And, we're just following that mold. We're following the mold that, that we've been developing across the country, and she's doing it down here. And then I look at other areas in Hawaii and we're not doing it. We're just doing the malls and, every once in a while we'll do a pop-up at a shopping center. And that feels good. And maybe now it's political time, so you get the politicians show up and say, look, I'm at the mall. But you got to find ways to get into the communities.
Yeah, it's just so funny you talk about that. Now all of a sudden the politicians that you haven't seen for almost 2 years are all out and about now. I said it would happen. I called it, people. I told you guys. Watch as we get closer. All of a sudden, guys gonna come out of the closets and start telling you all what they did to help. I'm starting to see that now. Incredible, but it's just a cycle. So Doc, back
Easy.
For our viewers that had the Pfizer and the Pfizer, what should their booster be?
J&J.
For the person that had the Moderna and the Moderna,
J&J.
and for those that had the Johnson and Johnson,
Moderna.
and for those that
And
didn't get any vaccinations,
um, Moderna, I would go Moderna first, followed by J&J. And okay, yep. And the reason is this is all database. This is all based on the data. And if you got Pfizer, you get J&J, you get here, you get Moderna, and J&J, you get a little higher immunity. And when you look at the comparison, J&J mixed with the Pfizer or J&J mixed with the Moderna, the J&J Moderna higher antibody levels than the Pfizer. You're still safe with Pfizer. I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way to say, "Oh crap, I got Pfizer, I'm in trouble." No. Pfizer's terrific. We're talking about, 95 versus 97. We're 94, we're talking about just percentages. They're still massively successful. But the horse race is now being won a little bit by Moderna, and it's only a couple lengths.
so Johnson and Johnson followed up by a Moderna, then they will follow a booster protocol for Moderna. Is that what you're suggesting?
I would
Or
say
or we don't even know. That
we
might change.
don't know that one yet. That one's a little bit out there right now, and I think that right now that there's probably enough data that shows Moderna, two Modernas and a J&J is really, really, really solid. But if someone just got Moderna, J&J, what the third is, another J&J versus another Moderna, not out yet. The data is not out yet, and the bottom line is either one is probably pretty good. If I had an inkling from what I know right now, I'm probably going that it's Moderna. But either way, if you get Moderna and Pfizer, Moderna and J&J, or Pfizer and J&J, you're in good shape. You're in good shape. Okay.
So for those, I'm just trying to hit the questions real quick from our viewers. For those that already took their third Pfizer booster or third Moderna booster, uh, at the next cycle, should they be considering a J&J?
Pick me, put me in, because that's freaking what I have. I have 3 Pfizers, and I'm scratching. I'm like waiting at the starting blocks to get my J&J, man.
Okay.
So absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Clear as mud. Clear as mud. I know I know a lot of our viewers have already taken a third booster of Pfizer or Moderna. Are like, oh darn. But I think Doc, I think you made it clear. You're okay. You're still okay. It's just the tests that have been done are showing that that combo is a very effective combo. So thanks for that.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
and what we don't know yet is which a lot of us are really just kind of waiting on is, will the combo keep you up and really take away the fact that you're going to start waning and that you're going to need another booster, in 8 months or 12 months. That there's going to be some combination in there, or some way we're going to look at this where we may be able to really extend the immunity out. But we don't have enough data right now. We don't know, but we do know that the combo of J&J and mRNA and J&J, and if you're from the UK or you're somewhere and you got an AstraZeneca, that's just like J&J, same thing. The data and the studies have been going on in both, but yeah. Hey, another biggie, since we're talking on doses, this is one that's on our national, worldwide, or national media today. Is I got a dude who's my son who's 11 3/4, right? And I'm going to go get him like a lower dose, and then at 12, he's going to be able to get like a triple dose. Does that make sense? So a lot of people are asking me that. How can it go like 2 months later, the dose goes here? And the answer is, well, that's what it is right now. That's just one of the problems with pushing these vaccines up. We have to be safe with kids. And at this stage, I'd just follow the guidelines because it's a child and that's what the studies have been and that's what's the data. And then if they're going to get their second shot when they're 12, they'll get the higher dose. But I've been asked that a lot, because people are saying, should I just wait and then get them the next dose, the higher dose when they're 12? I don't know. Yeah.
So, you talked about the efficacy on the different combos, right? And it kind of like difference maybe by 2 points, 95, 97, around there. For the viewing audience out there, are you able to share with us what those 2 points represent? I mean,
Well,
is it that much of a difference? Because
I,
I can see some of the questions right now. People are a little concerned, if they rode in the right direction based on what they've already taken, and I kind of wanted to not worry.
I use the two. I use the 2 point as an analogy. I could dive deeper into some of the data because in some of the combo data that came out. Now, this is going to get way too technical, but in the initial antibodies that were drawn like 2 weeks and 2 months after you finished a combo, the antibodies that were present with Pfizer and J&J were like, I think it was 36 times what just Pfizer alone was. Times. Moderna and J&J was like 78 times. All right. So it was a pretty big jump. Now that's the 2 month. Those are the initial antibodies that you're producing. Now, one of the big technical issues that is something that people will read about is when you start talking the difference between your killer T cells and your B cells and your memory cells, right? So, I'm going to try to make it simple. We all have these killer T cells, these killer cells. These are like, they're in there now, and that's like, you get someone rub some dog poop into an infection here. They're like the police. They're the first responders. They're everyone. They're right there. They're waiting, and it just starts to. It doesn't matter what it is. It's going to attack what we got there. Well, but then they go back and they teach some other troops that you have, and these other troops are kind of like your army, and then you have the reservists, all right? And these are these cells that are cruising around that have memory, and that's what they're called. They're called memory cells in your immune system. And what happens is that, so you get some dog poop in your arm again 3 years later, their memory stays, man, and they say, oh, here you come again, and they just replicate and go, and they go after it. So you don't have to have a whole new immune response to have it. So, and so that's what we're seeing is that there's about 5 different layers of immune cells that you have available in a normal immune system that can respond at different times. And the blood tests that are being standardly done to evaluate do not do all of these different levels, right? So what we are finding is that there's a really solid immune memory response from Pfizer and from Moderna that sticks around, and it's very, very close. So that's what my percentages are referring to, that even though it might not be like right there circulating, it's is when you get some COVID coming in there, if you've had the vaccines, that's why you don't die, because there's multiple levels of cells that start saying, we know what this is, we'll kick it up and we'll do it. And those, maybe some of those people are hospitalized or not, but I hope I didn't get too wonky, but when you do read about this, you're going to start reading about the difference between B cells and your memory cells and your T cells. And I could get a lot more technical with it, but that's trying to explain it. Okay.
No, you did a good job. You did a good job. Thank you. Thank you. Very good.
Apologize to our viewers on YouTube. We had a troll, but she's gone. But she's gone. I didn't think I could block people on YouTube from this platform, but I just found out that we can. So you want to get stupid on the show, you're gonna say hello, and it's not a hui ho because we will not meet again. Anyway, some of the things I know, Doc, you could see the comments. Our Facebook viewers couldn't see the comments.
Yeah, I was, but you know what? I don't know. I'm looking at you guys, and I'm looking, and I should be reading the comments, but I'd be kind of distracted. I'd be sitting.
No,
here.
that's what we take care of that. We take care.
Yeah,
we
you guys take care of that,
focused
man. I'm just talking story to you guys,
Yeah.
and talking story, and so I'm letting you guys pick out. It's your show. You pick out what you want me to talk about, and
I
what
just said those-
questions you want to answer. So
You know, just like when we talk about cancer, cancer is never an easy subject. I don't care if you have the best, oncologist there, and their bedside manner can be the best. It's just people they're frightened of the big C, right? So I think with these kind of viruses and just the havoc it's raised, I think I think that we all can learn, especially when you explain it so simple, taking it from a very simple approach. You're not doing all the major mechanics of physics if you want to learn how to ride a bike. I just want to know, how do I get on a bike and what makes me balance. That's all I want to know. And you do it as the simplest form, and that's what I appreciate. And I think the viewers appreciate that too, Doc, because we only have so much time, and yet you just hit it right on the hit every single time. So thank you very much.
thank you, and let me throw out another big thing. Because this is my life, and that is across the country. It's interesting, a phenomenon that we're seeing right now, and we're seeing that the you look at the emergency room volume and visits, and the really sick people and the hospitalizations, and then of course we lived it here. This many are COVID, but then there's this many in the ICU and this many beds and things like that. Well, what we're seeing is this pretty significant rise in the number of general serious emergency room visits across the United States. Why? People stopped doing preventative care. Everybody, in its human nature, they focused on their COVID, they focused on everything. And then of course we all know everybody sat at home, and we now have, obesity rates at the highest level in the United States. But what was also happening is a lot of doctors' offices weren't open. There was only telehealth available, and people got so focused that cancer screenings are at an all-time low. Normal immunizations are all-time low. But more importantly, the stuff I've lived my life on was keeping your diabetics healthy, and the people with heart disease, etc., dropped way off. And look at where we are, guys. 12 months, 18 months in, and now it's coming to manifest that we're seeing. So people, please think about your preventative care. Think about, getting back if you've been on blood pressure and heart disease medicine and maybe you've been slacking, because we're worried that second wave is now starting to hit our country. And think about prevention, man. Our COVID numbers are down, and you got your vaccines. Think about everything else. Okay.
There's this question that was posed by a gentleman in his 30s, and I guess he's responding the fact that they said that if you're working a job that's a greater risk, a lot of exposure to a lot of people. He's asking, do you recommend I get it? I'll speak for myself, working at the airport. I just told myself the odds are greater for me where I work because I come in contact with so much people that I can run the risk. And that's part of the reason why I went and got it. So, how can you answer? What's your thought on that, Doc? On that question?
It's really easy, Charlie. At this stage, I would say to him, do you know whether the vaccine worked for you, right?
Mhm.
Or was your, or, there's certain percentage of people may not have the great response with too. We don't know. And then you're at more risk. So yeah. So unless there was some easy way to see whether he had enough immunity in his body to protect him, which really we can't right now. And don't do a little blood antibody tests. Those are not what you need right now. The answer is yes, get it because it's safe. And yes, yes, and yes. Anybody that's even semi at risk should be getting their booster. And I also prefaced this at the beginning of the show. I believe that as we continue to look at the waning broad immunity, everyone in the United States will be offered another shot. Now, again, am I like a prognosticator? Do I have a crystal ball? No, because guess what? They're doing it in Israel. They're doing it across Europe. It's the countries that are already taking the data and don't have to go through a massive machination with the FDA and the CDC, all these political talking heads and professors that want to act important. The data is already there. We all need to get a booster, and the sooner we get it, the better, right?
Yeah.
And then we're fighting the political pressure from the WHO and the COVAX program, which is how dare you give all your population a booster when only 3% of the poorer countries of the world have been vaccinated. Do I, feel and have I supported vaccinating the world? Hell yeah. Do I? But, you know, is it going to stop us from stopping the country that has the highest mortality, has had more people die than anyone in the world? Sorry. We have paid the price in the United States, so we need to protect our citizens right now. And so we should be rushing those boosters out. That's the other thing that kind of pisses me off is on one hand, we are here with our number of citizens that have died beyond any other country, yet we're going to dilly-dally on something that we know is safe and we know will save lives. Why? Right? Why?
Right.
We're just about out of time, Doc. I did want to ask, this is a question I haven't seen before, and this is from Janelle. If you have an overactive immune system, are the vaccines safe if they're boosting your immune system?
Um, um, that's too technical of a question to say. I'd need to know the definition of what an overactive immune system is, because that's not a real common thing that you would say. That what I can cut through the chase and say that um, there is no circumstance that I can understand right now, and I would have to qualify to say I'd really need to know specifics about what she would call, that I would not recommend getting a vaccination. Why? Because I've said this to you guys before, and I'll say this to Janelle before. This vaccine is not broadly kicking your whole body into overdrive. I use this analogy when, I don't know, it just came to me, and I think, I'm chilling out sometimes watching crazy movies on Netflix with my wife. And so I was like, all right, think about the different technology that happened in weaponry. Okay. We've all watched it on TV. Carpet bombing, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, that would be like turning your whole immune system on, blowing everything up. I said, well, then we watched that you could have a car being hit with a laser guided area. And whoa, that is so accurate. That's crazy. Well, I said mRNA is like you have a terrorist sitting in his living room and he has the clicker beside him. And you basically could shoot your little bomb in and just turn his TV off. So that's how accurate, that's how pinpoint accurate the mRNA vaccines are. They're only targeting the spike cell and the spike cell proteins. They're not broadly targeting anything, and they only come in your system and create this immune response, and in 3 days, it's out of your system. So that would be my best longer explanation to her, to say it's really hard to think that such targeted mRNA vaccine would do anything to the rest of your immune system. Okay.
She clarified it as RA. I'm assuming that's rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah, nah,
So
she's good to go. Yeah, because I mean, that's a condition very, very, very familiar with, and yeah, she's totally good to go. It's common, and the only thing with rheumatoid arthritis is some of the people are on what are called biologics, which are the new advanced meds that would be qualifying as an immunosuppressant. So that's that's a medicine that you have to watch what it does to your immune system. So.
I see a lot of questions still coming in. We are going to bring Dr. Miscovich and Dr. Akiona back for the sequel, because Dr. Miscovich had a little bout with his migraines the last time, and we do want to have the two of them there to bounce things off. Although Dr. Akiona does quite well by herself, I gotta say, she's an awesome. We may have to do a 2-hour show with the two of
Hey,
them.
I know, and okay, guys. I got to tell you this. After our show before, was a couple days before, I was all fired up to be on the show. And here was my plan. I was basically going to do this, and then I was going to do that, and then wait about 10 seconds, 15, and I was going to come on with a different Steeler shirt or a different Steeler appendage or a terrible towel, because I've got about 30 different things in my closet, and I was going to go through them, as time went on, and so that there was always a question of what was I going to have next. So.
She actually told us that's what you were going to do, and
Yeah.
I thought that would be. I got to prepare. I don't have that many Steeler things, but we'll see. We'll have a little competition, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's well worth it, so to keep our blood pressure down and to keep us.
Hey, Mariota might be going over to the Steelers, man.
I would love it. I was
That would be. I am praying hard for that.
I would love it. I would love it, because the other rumor is Aaron Rodgers, will come over, but I'll take Mariota in a heartbeat over him.
Why would you trade one antique for another? I love Aaron Rodgers, but man,
Yeah.
I mean, you want longevity,
Exactly. No chance. And yeah, we need a quarterback of the future. So yeah,
Mariota is the man.
Yeah. No, guys, there's all kind of other things I could blabble about, because I'm dealing with so many different issues when it comes to just worldwide and some of the data that's out there. But this was a really great show for focusing on Hawaii reality and answering the questions, which are so important right now, to have people understand. Get your vaccine. Please get your vaccine and get your booster. If there's anything I hope people understood from what I'm saying here is, one of the things that is happening in the United Kingdom right now is that they are having their fourth wave because they're not wearing masks. Their booster acceptance is low, but in general, the population's general immunity is slowing. They have 70%, just like Hawaii, and they're getting a lot more disease. Are the people dying as much? No, No, but they're getting hospitalized and things like that. So please get your boosters. That's the best thing we can do right now to try to prevent our next surge after the holidays. We probably will have a little bump, but again, I still strongly stand by the fact we are never going to see the deaths that we just came through right now. We are that should be a thing of the past, and we can keep our numbers down in the Governor Ige Magic 100 if we wear masks and get our boosters right. And I'm all for maskless outdoors. Go outdoors with your family, be out sitting in your backyard and things like that. You want to take your mask off if you're vaccinated, go for it, right? But not in bars and things like that, But yeah, be safe.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you as usual. Thank you very much, Charles.
Well, as usual, I'd like to thank the doc for joining us tonight. Glad he's feeling better. The only thing I really, I still, uh, well, I just want to say this that, information is always good to have. And it's really up to all of you how you want to use it. And, sometimes there's some that might say, oh, this person professes to do this, to do that, or whatever the case may be. But when we get into a discussion like this, and it really starts to tickle our brain that we want to learn more, it gets fun after a while. But we just remember one thing: we all have to be safe, because to enjoy that fun, or to enjoy that time that we can smile, we got to make sure that we make it to that point. If we don't take the necessary precautions needed in life, we may shorten that lifespan, or what we call a lifespan or a life expectancy. And I bring this up because going into next year will be that pointing time that when you lose the loved one to this dreaded virus, it you can never shake it off. You can never you you move on, and you get a little stronger every day, but for the most part, you can never forget. So I want everybody just to be safe, because when I see a lot of the familiar names on our feeds, it tells me you're doing okay. You're doing okay, because I see you coming on. It's when I don't see those names, I get a little worried. I get a little worried. So until the next time, thank you very, very much for joining us tonight. And at this time, I'll turn it back over to the host of the Mel and Charlie, Mel Raposo.
First of all, the village. Mahalo to the village, guys. We appreciate you guys coming on. We appreciate you guys. Dr. Miscovich, always a pleasure. As I'm reading the comments and I see the appreciation from everyone, just
Yeah.
because you present it in a way we all can understand.
Hmm.
And those of you that have medical conditions, please do not substitute Dr. Miskovich's general analysis. Make sure you talk to your doctor as well.
Yeah, of course.
But I trust Dr. Miskovich really, and I'm not just saying this, but I trust Dr. Miskovich with my life. When my daughter was having issues, I called Dr. Miskovich and asked him for advice, and he was kind enough to give me advice, which we trust and we follow. So I appreciate you whenever you can come on, Doc. We will get you and Dr. Akiona on next week,
Yeah,
um,
let's
and
do it.
we'll do a Q&A again like we did, and let them just rapid fire the questions, because there are
Yep.
so many questions. So we appreciate
Yeah.
you guys able to do that, guys. Tomorrow night we will not have a show because I have a commitment. Uh, oh, see, my dad just said, Mel, now I know what shot I'm going to get. Me too, Dad. I was like, what the hell? Now I know it's Moderna for me. But yeah, so tomorrow we will on Thursday. I'm trying to get Doctor to working on to talk to get us some have fun. I love Doctor working too. He's fun.
Great.
And then yeah, so Wednesday, Friday we'll not have a show. Next week, guys, I'll make sure you guys remember we have our will and estate planning workshop. I know it's kind of morbid to even talk about this, but I've been getting so many questions about legal questions, and I figured, let's have a will and estate workshop from Ward Jones, attorney partner at Brevard Jones on Oahu. He's going to talk story and take your questions as well. I hope you guys can join us next week, Wednesday. Is that next week? Not November 3rd already? I believe so. Not sure, Kim.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah, it
next
is.
week, Wednesday.
Wednesday. Wednesday's the third,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah.
So hope you guys can join us. I'll be posting the posters up as well. Other than that, folks, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. The village is strong. Let's grow the village. Let's get more people on and share the word. If you guys have any questions that you have, you can send them to me in Messenger, and we'll make sure we get it to someone that can answer your questions. All right, folks. Doc, stay safe. We love you guys. Take care.
See you, everybody.